We're live.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna call together Regional School District 13 Board of Education special meeting known as Policy Committee, May 21st, 2026 at 4 p.m. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment online?
There is nobody online.
Or I don't wanna, public comment? No, okay.
I'm all set, Kristen, thanks.
All right, we'll have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'm not technically on the committee.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
So we can't.
all right, so then I'm gonna skip over approval of the agenda. I'm gonna skip over approval of the minutes.
Mhm.
And we're gonna move forward to the first thing of review policies. A is FMLA 4151.
Take it away, Kevin.
Okay, so I'd like to propose some changes to policy number 4151, which relates to family and medical leave. The two major impacts to this policy, the first one is last fall, the state approved a requirement that all organizations incorporate Connecticut FMLA into their policy. And this statute basically impacts really individuals who are not certified. So this revised policy that we've developed makes a specific mention of Connecticut FMLA through the policy, which is a requirement. And it just better aligns our current policy with the revised statutes that took place last October. And you'll see as you peruse through the policy, comparisons of FMLA and Connecticut FMLA. Primarily the differences are Connecticut FMLA is a bit broader. And there are different requirements for Connecticut FMLA as compared to federal FMLA. First of all, employee tenure requirements for the Connecticut FMLA. It's a minimum of 3 months employment with the organization, where the federal FMLA is a minimum of 12 months employment. Also, for the hours worked requirement, there is no minimum number of hours required for employees to take advantage of Connecticut FMLA, where for federal FMLA, an employee needed to be employed within the organization or within the school district for 1,250 hours within a 12-month period of time. Also, for Connecticut FMLA, the definition of a family member is much broader, and it includes a spouse, siblings, children's, grandparents, grandchildren, and individuals related by affinity. So it can be any one of a number of people, whereas the federal FMLA only includes a spouse, a parent, or a child. One other interesting thing to note is that FMLA, the Connecticut FMLA does allow an additional 2 weeks if in fact a employee takes the time off for maternity leave. And that 2 extra weeks is a specific provision for the maternity leave. So really that incorporation of Connecticut FMLA is the major change in the policy. I do want to bring to the policy committee's attention one other change in the language, and that is under length of leave, and it is under A. Taking a look right here, it is, if you take a look at the new revised policy, it says length of leave, and number 3 or just above 3 at the top of the next page, it says the 12-month entitlement period for family or medical leave is measured on the basis of a rolling 12-month period measured backward from the date and the employee uses any FMLA leave. And this is a change that I would recommend we make. This has been a practice that we have consistently used for many, many years, where our current policy indicates that that 12-month period is a calendar year. So I'd like to request that change be made to incorporate the 12-month period measured backward from the date the employee uses in the FMLA leave. Okay,
Now, we have a recommendation from Shipman to replace our existing FMLA policy. Are we considering that?
That's what this is.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so then, so just for my own curiosity, those who were not certified were not covered by FMLA before?
they were covered under federal FMLA.
Oh,
So
okay,
basically, we treated certified and non-certified employees the same way.
okay. So if there's a difference between Connecticut FMLA and the federal, Connecticut takes precedent?
For non-certified employees, for teachers, for certified employees, they are required to follow federal FMLA guidelines. Connecticut FMLA, Lucy, is just for non-certified employees.
Okay,
And,
Okay.
and it's only for teachers. Basically, if you're not a teacher, then you fall into the non-certified
Correct.
category.
Therefore, the
Okay.
Connecticut FMLA would be basically the policy
Or,
you would
yes,
use.
for them, and then they follow federal. And I said, okay, yeah, because it is a little confusing, like
It
in the
is.
policy to follow
Mhm.
federal, like I actually don't love the way that Shipman wrote it.
Mhm.
I would almost like if everything related to the certified staff can be like in one section and then I don't know, I just find it very confusing to follow. Like, I'm like, wait, which one is this?
Not that it's part of policy, but earlier when all of this was coming out, I asked Kevin to put together a table of FMLA, Connecticut FMLA, Connecticut paid leave, and what was the fourth category? What was the fourth
So it
one?
was Connecticut paid leave, Connecticut paid sick days,
Paid sick days.
Connecticut FMLA,
Okay.
and federal FMLA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
because the
they're all
5 days.
That's
So,
the first.
because they all get very
Yeah.
confusing, so we actually have a pretty clear table that Kevin put together
Okay.
to say what each thing is, and actually, we were playing with AI, and so we put the table into AI and we had to do a podcast explaining all of this. So we're like-
And I will tell you, the podcast was phenomenal.
Yeah,
It was
they did a good
really,
job.
really good.
I'll send it to everybody. I'll listen to it.
So, yeah, because actually, when you just said the first, right, yes, you have if you're underneath Connecticut FMLA, you have 5 days to
Of paid
use
sick
of
leave.
paid sick leave
Mhm.
to use first. So that would not be for teachers then.
Right.
It would be for everybody else. And is that in here? I don't
So
think I saw them
it's different from
That's
FMLA.
different. That's not part of.
Oh, 'cause that's
FMLA.
paid sick leave. It's
Yes.
not, sorry, yeah, but yeah, you have that available to you. Okay.
On page 6 of this piece that we have, they have an optional section
Yes.
about light duty. Did we?
We discussed that.
Options.
Yeah, we thought about that and we made a decision not to incorporate that
Okay,
because it would put the district in a somewhat tenuous situation. We're thinking about our custodians.
Mhm.
And if a custodian declares they are available for light duty, then it's our obligation to provide a position for that person.
Mhm.
And we really can't have a custodian who's limited to light duty.
Mhm.
So it's strictly optional. We chose to have some discretion on that. If we find that an individual can return to work under somewhat limited conditions, we can certainly allow that individual to return.
Mhm.
But we're not obligated. If in fact this was in the policy, we would have to go in a different direction.
Okay. There's another optional under use of paid leave. I can't
Yeah, we don't
remember.
have PTO.
PTO, we don't have that,
No.
okay, and there was, I'm not sure if there was some others, nope, that's it. Just wondered. Now, is there a cost to the district for FMLA, or is that reimbursed, or how does that work?
So if there's, do you want to take it or do you want
Sure.
me to try?
Yeah, so basically FMLA is unpaid leave. Okay, so what that FMLA is, Lucy, is it's job protection. So a person can take time and be guaranteed either through federal FMLA or Connecticut FMLA of a position when they return.
Okay,
It does not guarantee pay. But our contracts, our bargaining unit contracts allow people to use their accumulated sick days during FMLA. So as long as they have accumulated sick leave, they can use those days during their FMLA period. Once that accumulated sick day is exhausted, then they are take FMLA under an unpaid status, so they're unpaid going forward.
But it's paid through, if you're underneath Connecticut FMLA, it is paid.
The
Well,
first 5 days,
The
right?
first,
No,
No,
that's
you,
the,
you would
paid leave.
apply to the state.
yes,
Yeah.
so
Or
that
you
would
get
be
like
the
a-
Connecticut paid leave,
Yeah,
and that is administered through Aflac.
yeah, and, but the employees pay into that, every employee. in the state of
Correct,
Connecticut
that
does.
is
The
a,
district doesn't pay for that.
right, that's a
Yeah.
direct deduction that's
Mhm.
paid to the Department of Labor
Yeah.
into this pool
Mhm.
that employees can then utilize if they need to take paid leave.
And they can, if they have any accrued leave here, I think it said that you can combine, like your leave here and the Connecticut
Yeah.
paid to make you whole. Like,
Yeah, you
make it-
can't just, though, you
You
can't like.
can't double
You can't
dip.
double dip, right, but you
Yeah.
could combine both to make sure that you're kind of getting the same paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that there is no mention of intermittent FMLA, either federal or state
Oh,
in this
it's-
policy. Did I miss it?
There's-
Oh, okay,
yeah,
sorry, I
it's,
missed it.
There's one section. Cause,
That's probably good.
okay, under types of leave and conditions, we have full-time, intermittent, and reduced schedule leave,
Okay,
so it goes in there.
oh.
Bottom of page
Yeah.
4 is right up next.
So between
Okay.
Connecticut paid leave, Connecticut paid sick days, Connecticut FMLA,
Yeah.
federal FMLA, there's a lot of factors to consider
Mhm.
when employees go on various types of leaves.
And I'm just curious, although this is not really a policy question, but is related to FMLA, like, does HR handle all the paperwork, or do we do a service that handles? and
So
takes all that?
HR, we do all the paperwork. Ashley
All
Hillier,
in-house.
Yeah.
who was fantastic, and myself administer FMLA leave within the district.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. No, I only ask because it's
A lot.
like, it's a huge undertaking, especially with all the changes in Connecticut. I only know from my own job.
Mhm.
I actually decided to outsource it this year. So,
Maybe a smart move, Christine.
Yeah.
well, it's really not that much, and like they track everything. It just kind of, it gives you some more protection.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, all right, well, I mean, I don't really have anything else. Any other questions?
Do you have anything, any other questions, Lucy?
No.
Yeah, okay. I mean, basically, it's the new law.
Good to move on.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna change some more.
Do you think so? What do you think is gonna
Well, I
happen?
just think like I think I guess what I would think would change is somehow to streamline it a bit more, because the paperwork and the tracking is so cumbersome that I just wonder if they're gonna do something to help make it easier for employers, although Connecticut tends to be more an employee-driven state than an employer-driven state.
Yeah, the state revised their Connecticut paid sick days because last year they could take them in 1 hour increments.
Yeah.
For us was a record keeping nightmare because our
Yeah.
software only broke it down to half day or full day
Yeah.
increments. They rescinded that, so we now can ask employees to take paid sick days only through increments provided in the bargaining unit. So for us, it's 25, half day or full day,
Yeah.
which is good, so.
We also put in, that the paid leave has to be the first 40 hours of leave that you use, right? So
Yeah.
that somebody isn't, getting to June and saying, oh, no, I've used all my days, now I'm going to use these.
Have an additional 5 days.
Yeah. So those have to go first.
Is there anything that just made me think of something? Maybe it's not in this policy, in a different policy, where like your last day worked cannot be a sick day.
I don't know if we have that.
I'm not
Because
sure if we
that's-
have that.
That's not where I've seen like
Mhm.
other issues like arise, or like if you're using a sick day before or after like a holiday or vacation.
We do have that one.
We do
Okay,
for
yeah.
personal days.
Personal
For sick
days.
days, they're entitled to take sick days
Yeah.
whenever they're sick.
Yeah.
And if they request a personal day, they have to request permission to take that personal day before or after
Yeah.
either a vacation or a long
So
weekend.
too, I'm surprised, like, because, yes, you could legitimately, absolutely, you know, heaven forbid, get the flu before you're going on a vacation or something like that, but also, like, you know, because you could just have it as to be documented.
The problem that we run into is that we're not allowed to ask for documentation until 5
Oh,
days.
that's right, you can't, that's right,
Right.
that's also what changed with
Yeah.
the law, yeah. Yeah,
So that comes into play there.
yeah, okay,
We just hope that people are healthy and come to work every day.
yes. Mhm.
Plus, for Connecticut paid leave, they don't have to provide us with a reason, so they can take a mental health day, and that's all well and good.
Okay, all right, well,
Right.
religious observations in schools?
Yeah, so I want to clarify one thing. The whole policy isn't required. Part
Okay,
of it is required.
Required.
Part of the policy is required. Yeah.
Okay.
So because of a recent court ruling, the part that is required is the curriculum part,
Is which part?
the curriculum part.
Oh, curriculum.
There's- Okay, so it's under classroom activities, under students. So with a recent lawsuit, this part is required, so we could put this into a different policy if you want to. We could put this into a
Okay.
curriculum policy, but I actually would recommend just having the addition of the whole religious accommodations policy,
Mhm.
because we don't have anything that comes close to it that I could see. So basically, we have, it's the issue of when religion becomes a conflict with the curriculum, and parents can request an exemption, but in the lawsuit, we want to make sure that we interpret this carefully, because in the lawsuit, it was interpreted that schools have to give an exemption. However, it doesn't mean that it's sort of like a buffet and parents can come in and say, I want this and I want this, I want this. It means I have this objection, these are the religious reasons, it's this book or this unit. The parents and the teachers work together to come up with an alternative, and then they go from there.
A reasonable alternative.
A reasonable alternative that meets all the same competencies. There was an original kind of knee-jerk reaction to this, saying that parents could just decide whatever their kids learn, and this puts in here, it's very clear that the law says that's not how it works. You know, like, reasonable alternative works, and that's fine, but it doesn't mean that they get to, take our whole curriculum and piecemeal it.
How does it, like, so how does that work to like verify, like, like I was thinking to myself, like, when you said reasonable, I was like thinking to myself, oh, like, FMLA, like reasonable accommodation, Or, so like, something like this, like, I guess, how do you determine, like, okay, like, if someone, I guess a book would be the most
Yeah.
likely,
Mhm.
maybe, so like, how do you determine, like, okay, like, yep, this person is practicing this religion, I could see how that would intervene, we're gonna give you this book instead, like, who, like, determines all that?
Hopefully it is a good conversation between the teacher and the
Yeah.
parent, and sometimes the principal.
Yes, yeah,
So I was an English teacher, so I dealt with this pretty regularly. So I'll give you an example where I had an AP English class. So they're all seniors. It's the highest level English class. We were reading Beloved by Toni Morrison. And I had a student in there whose father was a minister and was completely opposed to the book because of some of the language and sexuality in the book. So we sat down and we met
Mhm.
together, and we talked about the purpose of understanding that period of American history, understanding slavery, understanding the African-American experience. And then he and I decided that his daughter would read Roots instead.
Yeah.
So getting to like the heart of what we needed from that
Yeah.
book. And then she would read it, but then she would also come in for our classroom discussions, you know, so
Yeah.
where we're talking about the bigger picture kind of things and not book specific things. And that's ideally how it works. Hey, Jamie?
Hi, Jake.
Cause I was just curious, like, you know, if, cause to your point, like where I could see initially, like there was like that knee jerk reaction, then, you know, not that it's kind of like, oh no, I don't like this book, I'm not gonna read it. Like, you know, is there like something that like people need to like fill out to say?
Usually we do have
Okay.
an opt-out form.
Okay,
yeah, With
yeah.
reasons and what we ask the parents to suggest an alternative.
Yeah,
Like, what do
Okay.
you think would be a good alternative and why? And what are your specific concerns about it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That the problem in the lawsuit was that there was a specific curriculum that the school district had adopted. And then if a student said, I don't agree with that, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The curriculum specifically instructed the teachers to say, that's wrong. You need to believe this. That's why this became a big case. And none of our teachers are gonna do that, you know? So, it really got blown out of proportion. So the idea is just that if there's a legitimate opt-out, we have an avenue for it, a religious opt-out. We do hope to have it through those good conversations, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not instructing kids what to think. We
Yeah.
instruct them how to think.
yeah.
Opinions are always valued and acceptable.
So is the recommendation to adopt just the classroom activity section or still proceed with?
I would
everything
proceed
that's
with the whole thing, yeah.
With CABE?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
Okay.
would recommend that because we don't have, we have a little bit about religion and non-discrimination, but we don't have all of the other things about student activities. We definitely have students who go through fasting, or who
Yeah.
have dietary concerns. Like, I think it's probably just good to move the whole policy along.
okay. Um,
I just know where my girls go to school, they don't acknowledge a single holiday related to religion. It's,
Nothing.
you know, they have their breaks here and there, but they don't give a name to it. And
Yeah.
Entirely
It's just for
secular,
them.
right?
I don't know, sometimes you think about what they do, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
that's why I stopped calling it a holiday party at work. I call it a winter gathering.
There you go.
Now,
Yeah, perfect.
you know, and like, then there's like a summer outing, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, just try to keep everything like very neutral to respect everybody.
Yeah, winter concert.
Yeah,
You know, and I'm always fine. And legally, we're fine, like at the winter concert, you can sing religious songs as long as you have a variety of religions, you know, as long as you're not
Right.
just doing one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely.
Okay.
Animals in schools.
Okay.
These are just,
Visited.
these are just regulations. So we had the policy that was done earlier in the fall that was already approved. We worked on the regulations and then Shipman fine-tuned them. So Shipman has already been over what you see in these two forms. The basic difference is one is if somebody's actually requesting a therapy animal. And then the other one is if somebody is requesting, you know, instructional animal. So somebody like bringing in snakes for a demonstration, or they want to have a classroom pet, or, you know, some kind of wildlife extravaganza. I don't know. So one form for each of those.
Okay, so that's basically what's being added is the forms, because
Just
we
the
already have
forms.
the policy.
Yeah, so just the regulations.
I had one question at the very end where it says, are there costs associated with this visitor classroom? Would there be costs and what might they be?
There might be, so like if you have a visitor come in, you probably have an activity cost because
Okay.
might be a paid thing from a zoo or wildlife agency, but also if you have a classroom pet, you know, you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna pay for fish food or, you know, or who's gonna take care of the gerbils over vacation, which was one of my childhood memories.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I remember my mom used to tell the teacher, don't give it to us, don't give it to us. And I was so excited when it finally happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are we done with the religious? Because on some of the pages, there are alternate choices, I
Mhm.
believe, for language.
Yep, do you wanna go over those?
Yeah, I was just looking, I didn't catch the first one here, I was just reading it.
In the alternates, I think they we could go either way with any of them. The one about the kitchen,
No, the one about her.
First one. I
The
think
first
there's,
the first one, this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want this one?
Yeah.
I like the, almost like the second one, only because it says the board expects students and their families will help the board to understand their religious needs and will work with the board and schools to determine appropriate reasonable accommodations. It doesn't, it just at the top, it says the school district should utilize its opportunity to foster understanding. But I think I like having the fact that it's a collaborative effort, as we talked about with,
Yeah, I think it's
with the,
kind of, you have the opportunity to
I don't
foster understanding
Those
and
are my
mutual
thoughts.
respect. I really don't like this.
This part?
And
okay.
yeah, that's
Which
what I
part?
really don't like, the second
Mhm.
full paragraph.
well, that's where that one sentence is, that the board expects the students and their families.
Well, that sentence is okay, if we wanna incorporate that sentence.
Yeah.
You know, there, you know, or
I
something.
understand what you mean, because it's some of the other, on the pick, that paragraph is a little bit much.
Yeah, but I
So
think the
somehow we can
school, I mean,
incorporate that sentence.
in this one, it says the school district should utilize its opportunity to foster understanding and mutual respect among staff, students, and families, acknowledging our rich diversity in terms of race, culture, social orientation, economic background, and religious beliefs. But yeah, then you could kind of add that sentence in. The board expects that students and their families will help the board to understand their religious needs and work with the board to determine appropriate and reasonable accommodations. I mean,
Mhm.
I think that's like
Just
fine.
add that part.
Yeah, we got that part there.
I don't know if we need to have the alternate in about requiring a special kitchen, a special diet kitchen.
Yeah, I don't think you could probably, yeah, I mean, that's probably, because you have to have like the dairy kitchen and all that stuff, and I don't think we probably want to get into that.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I know I wouldn't add that alternate in.
Okay. And then there was one
So
more.
the other one was under dietary requirements, or is it?
Oh, we
alternate?
just said that
Yeah.
one, Lucy.
Oh, I didn't hear what you said.
We said not that alternate on that one, because it's like talking about like a separate like kitchen and all that, so leave that one with the first one.
You're looking at the first one?
Well, we could, this one, the alternate saying nothing is meant to require schools to operate a special diet kitchen, so. Children will be unable to benefit from alternative entree. It's almost like not an alternate, to be
Yeah, it's
honest.
kind of like,
It could go together, right?
yeah,
They could both be in there.
The only thing I didn't like about the first part was that, if an alternative entree shall be offered, which I think leaves the schools with having to come up with a bunch of alternatives, whereas the other one says, we can substitute items, but if there's something that we don't normally keep in our inventory, then the parents are expected to provide the substitute food items. I'm just thinking about all the possibilities that could happen with diets, and I'm not sure what the.
I
What
could
the
ask
menu-
Mark which one of these he thought, Mark Basil, I could ask him which one of these he thinks would work better.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And then the last alternate is on
The
student prayer.
prayer.
I don't think we need the alternate.
yeah, I think, yeah, I like that, the first one.
Because under attendance law, religious
know
would
about
be
that campus,
an
yeah.
approved absence anyway. So I
Yeah.
don't think we need this in there, like it would already be
Yeah.
covered. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're looking at the first paragraph, not the alternate.
The first paragraph is okay. I don't think we need the alternate,
Yeah,
because a religious absence is already excused anyway, so I don't think we
Right.
need it in
okay.
there.
So then they don't have to worry about leaving.
Just curious, like with the form,
Mhm.
if we're going back to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, it says like therapy animal and sit, like, is there a reference at all when it's a certified service?
So, that's part of the policy, and Shipman recommended that we don't have a form at all for service
Okay,
animals.
all right, thank you, okay.
Because
thank
they
you.
thought having a form would itself would even maybe be a violation of ADA.
Okay, all right,
So,
okay,
like,
thank
a
you,
form
okay.
could even seem like a barrier.
Okay, so the forms are really just for when you're having kind of maybe either a classroom pet
Mhm.
or some type of educational event in the schools where they, like you
Yeah.
said, like they might bring in like some small reptiles, like the zoo does.
Or
you
a
know?
therapy dog. Like
Yeah.
if somebody regularly,
Yes.
like if
Yeah.
a school counselor at some point
Yeah.
has a regular therapy dog and they
Okay,
come
yeah,
in every Wednesday or something
Yeah.
like that.
yeah. Okay. All right, yeah, no, then I think
That's it.
that's fine.
Do you want to talk about the community service?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
we can, because I would really love, because I'll tell you, so I have a group of kids who would love to come
Mhm.
and speak and advocate
Yeah.
for why they think their community service hours should start counting.
Mhm.
And we do have, and really it's probably a group of kids that are in 7th and 8th grade who volunteer at Camp Nerden.
Yeah.
Because that's really typically around 12 is when you can start volunteering.
Mhm.
So a lot of them work in the
Yeah.
summer, which is great.
Yeah.
You know,
So I wanted to talk, and I'll talk to the board about this, because community service is a big part of the strategic plan.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've looked at. So I am 100% opposed to counting hours for community service.
I know.
I think that it doesn't do what we intend community service to do. I don't think you should go out and check hours. So, part of the strategic plan I want is for the high school to develop real service learning opportunities that are connected either to the school culture and climate or to the curriculum. So there's a couple of ways that it could happen. So they're going to explore that in the strategic plan. So service learning would be, for example, in these 5 required classes that everybody has to take, there's a component of service learning in the community that, would kind of equal the same kind of or more contribution. But then it's connected to the curriculum and you're connecting your class to the community. You're not just kind
Yeah.
of clicking the hours. And then another way to do it is where you have another school, high school that I know of, a whole class did a big community service project together and they started the design in freshman year. They did the planning sophomore year. They did the implementation of whatever their huge community service project was their junior year. And then the senior year, their job was to help the freshmen of that year design their big thing. So it was like a really nice,
That's nice too.
yeah.
Mhm.
And there's checks and balances along the way to make sure that all the students are doing something,
Well,
what is-
yeah, that was.
we
that would
don't
be
want to
my
get into the
question.
group
Yeah.
project kind of thing. But, and that's my only hesitation with
Yeah.
middle school is because if we successfully move towards service learning where it's connected to the curriculum, maybe that could happen in the middle school too, right? But we couldn't just say that middle school can start hours because it wouldn't be connected.
Yeah.
But we could also, when we're looking at this in the strategic plan, we could say, well, does the middle school do like a mini version of it?
Right.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or developmentally
Yeah.
So
appropriate.
it's a philosophically different way of looking at it, but it is so much more meaningful
Mm.
when you look at the different ways you can do it.
Yeah.
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 And there's no reason why community service can't be integrated as much as possible throughout all the school years
Right.
as the children are able
Yeah.
to do, because that's what you want them to do, is to be cognizant of the community around them.
Right.
And how they can participate
Yeah.
and help.
Yeah,
different
and
ways.
yeah, so like I could see something exciting where maybe the middle school does it through a few classes and they get the experience, and then the high school, they do the big group thing.
Yeah.
Like, so they
Mhm.
have a taste of it and they start thinking of the ideas that they want for their class and then they can go for it. Yeah. So that was my only hesitation is just I kind of want to wait until it's actually connected to something.
Is there, I always get confused, but is there a requirement in Connecticut that you need so many hours to graduate? And is that
I
why
know
we
it's
have the
I know it's our
policy?
requirement. I don't know if
I'm
it's a
not quite
Connecticut
sure if it's a state
requirement.
requirement.
I would have to look that up.
I thought it was some sort of state requirement that you had to have so many hours.
Let me look it up.
But I mean, I love the idea of like connecting it. And I think what is nice is obviously when volunteerism starts so young.
Yeah.
I think, you really kind of do really see like it being a part of that, individual.
No requirement.
Okay, all right,
It's
yeah.
part of our graduation requirement, but it's not a
Okay.
state requirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So yeah, part of the strategic plan, and we explore and then we come up with that better kind of system. And I think that would be a really nice way to get the school and the community connected more.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it is. And we do
One high school did it where, it was sort of like, I don't know if this was the same for everybody's college, but when I was in college, we had to take like 5 writing intensive courses, right? And they were labeled like WI, right? So we could have, an idea could be like, here's your 50 or 60 course offerings that are available to you, and you have to do, you have to choose 4 that involve community service, something like that it could be, so they have some choice in it too. And there's a whole lot of different ways it
Yeah.
can happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is really getting on my nerves.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's good. All right. Any public comment?
There's still nobody on.
Okay, all right.
I will say though that the Brewster Art Show is going on right
Yeah.
now, if anybody wants to
Yeah.
buzz on over there.
Yeah.
See some beautiful art.
And so is the talk.
Yes.
in
Mhm.
the
In-
Auditorium.
Yep.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting their name, but
I forgot.
it was a dyslexia, like awareness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Influencer.
Yep.
So,
Did you get an answer about Connecticut requiring?
No, there's no state requirement,
No state requirement,
Yeah.
okay,
but it's in our graduation requirement.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
and I'm glad we're keeping it in
Mhm.
some form.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's an important piece.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Community service has different meanings depending on the school.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, don't go in ISS or OSS, but you're gonna clean the cafeteria, but that's what we do.
I like service learning. I like calling it, I think we'll call it service learning.
Ironically, they like it though, they're like,
How many more days do you have left, Jamie?
June 24th, I think we're done.
Fourth,
Yeah, we had a lot
oh,
of
yeah.
weather.
The counting,
Yeah.
well, the kids always would ask at some
Yeah.
point, and I said, go ahead, count it up, and the number would be on the board, and somebody would come in and change it every day. That was the big highlight.
I just asked our retirees who are about to retire, they know.
Yeah. It's just a fun.
Yeah.
Should I
Also, when
become,
your library media specialist wants to collect all the Chromebooks, yeah, we have to do a lot of assessments on the Chromebook, and we need it near the end of the school year. It's like, okay, what do we need? I need them until this date, please.
Mhm.
so I guess we can make a motion
You
to
can make
adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Yep.
because then you're here, 'cause it's really just you and I that are per policy, so you can make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right.